We name this thing Intuition Made Us Do It. It's just a conversation about how intuition's showing up for each of us. And ideally, some really cool information about how intuition can show up for all of us. And so that's why I'm really excited about the inaugural episode of Intuition Made Us Do It because I don't know about you, but like, I think everybody's trying to figure out some mystery and everybody's trying to figure out how are we going to do this next decade where we're entering into it. Things feel really uncomfortable. A lot of things feel uncertain. What's gonna happen? And I think that in the past, people have been like, well, this is how it's been in the past, so this is how it's going to be in the future. From my perspective, no, that is not what's happening. What I see is that as we move forward, it really is determining how we want to view the world is going to create the world we see. We've heard it for how long? Your thoughts create your reality. Well, your entire mind creates your reality. So it's not just your thoughts, it's your emotions as well, and it's your intuition. And when I first started locking into my intuition, I was like, man, what is this? My brain's doing weird stuff. For me, I hear voices. And so the first time I heard a voice that was like, it sounded like me, but it also didn't sound like me, it was so much more grounded. It was so much more like, this is the truth. And I was like, wow, it's kind of a big truth, brain. What are we doing now? And then the more research I did of like, there's something happening to my mind. What is it? And I researched and landed on, oh, this must be what people say intuition is. So, Hannah, I know you're a giant fan of intuition, and intuition makes you do a lot of things. We've talked about it. Yours doesn't show up as necessarily a voice, it shows up in a different way. How is that?
Yeah, intuition, it's evolved over time. I would say, um, as a child, it was more of like a feeling with certain circumstances, people, and definitely did not have words or language for it. And as I grew into my 20s, it was excitement and expansion. Like anytime something excited me, it was like, go that way. And I would, and it would be awesome. And things would just fall into place, fall into place. Like one of my jobs, I was so under fulfilled and was researching like healing nutrition programs and yoga abroad. And I ended up finding one and I quit my job. Within a week and a half, I got a sublet on my apartment, like housing for free in London, like all these just boom, boom, boom falling into place because I was following what felt exciting. And now it's still that, but it's also like showing up as a calmness and a uh kind of coming to a clarity where I'm not gripping anything or trying to make anything happen. And the reason I'm so excited for our podcast, Intuition Made Us Do It, is because I feel like intuition helps be a bridge into foresight for people, especially in the coming years when things feel chaotic and unclear. It's that grounding, it's going to be okay, go this way type of voice. And we need that normalized. And Jessica, we often talk, you and I, about kind of solving all the mysteries of the world.
So big.
Yeah, like no big deal. And we do pretty well, honestly, because intuition is it's in a way unseen, and yet part of our conversations here will help bring words, bring tools, bring action steps that people can do today and forever to really hone their own intuition so they can have that foresight, so they can know what direction to go. That kind of cuts corners and creates what they want more quickly with more ease. Like, okay.
100%. And I think, I grew up with a very specific idea of what intuition was. And it was founded on my grandmother's experience. She was a professional psychic, and she was a professional psychic for police departments. And I think she might have worked with feds at one point. I'm not really sure, but She was called the Body Finder. Sorry, like this is a little heavy, but she would work with cops to open cold cases. And she would use her intuitive gifts of inner sight to like look at the crime scenes and what did the police miss and really, really cool stuff. But to be honest, as a kid, it totally freaked me out. And so I thought that intuition was only that. And so growing up, it was like I had shut off all curiosities with intuition because I thought it had to be this psychic experience. And I've met tons of psychics, and they all have these unique ways of tapping into extrasensory information. And so when I started experiencing intuition on my own and it was looking a bit different from that, I was like, well, okay, maybe everyone has their own entry point into what intuition looks like because it's based upon how your brain works. And where I get kind of pissed off about comparing the mind to a computer is it mechanicalizes, that might be a word, it might not, how the brain works. And it sort of turns the brain into a machine. It turns the body into a machine. I'm like, that's not right. Like each of our brains is so unique and we have trillions of neural pathways all firing at once. And if we were to create a metaphor of this, it looks like a universe between your ears because you have as many neurons in your brain as there are stars in the sky, probably more. And all of that's operating in a way named Hannah, named Jessica. So it's like you've got a literal universe in between your ears. And that's why I think to apply a one size fits all dynamic to this is how intuition works and it's going to be the same for everybody is like, nope, I don't agree with that one bit. So Hannah, when you're talking about like your intuition shows up as like a, I love that so much. And you're following these rich experiences and you just dive into what feels exciting and joyful and more words, more adjectives. What else do you describe that as?
Uh, like expansive and limitless and just like kind of badass. Like I like taking the big leap. Like the big leaps are actually
Oh,
easier for me sometimes than the day-to-day stuff. I'm like, no way.
I love that so
Don't make me
much.
make that decision.
I love that. What are we gonna have for dinner? I don't know.
Don't put that pressure on me.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
perceive your intuition as being very connected to the functions of the right brain because the
Yes.
right brain is it's emotional, it is expansive. The right brain loves big picture thinking. It as absolutely has a hard time with like the day-to-day quote unquote tedious or menial tiki-taka stuff. The one thing I will say about intuition is it is the spirit of truth within you. So if we were to give it one characteristic that's true for all of us is it's the spirit of truth. It's the truth operating inside of you. And so the truth for you when you took your big leap into like I'm going to explore the world and have all these new experiences, that was the truth for you. That was the
Mhm.
truthiest thing that you could do. And it
And
was
it
a
also
bunch of
connected me to more truth by extracting myself from my environment and being alone on the other side of the world. Like it connected me more deeply to the spirit of truth without all the stuff in the way.
right, right. So not to get super preachy with this, but I probably will on this podcast. Let's face it. I love to talk about this stuff.
Preach to us, tell us.
Is that when you're following the spirit of truth within you, it gets really clear of what's not going to be true. And that's where that, I literally can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And for me, I had, like, I don't want to villainize my past at all. Like, my past was awesome, but it was characterized by a ton of struggle and a ton of, like, I don't know, maybe I just decided I'm going to do everything the hard way for a while and see how that goes. The way I perceive it now was I had just gotten something fixed in my mind of like, this is how your career needs to be. This is how your relationships need to be. And I just forced fit so many things to just do it one way when I never really checked into like, is this true for me?
Right.
Do I even enjoy what I'm doing? And I'd say by and large, I enjoyed trying a lot of new things. But if I was to really sit with how I felt about it, sort of that right brain, emotional stuff, a lot of the stuff would have been, I'm not really into this.
Right.
And that would have been scary for me at that time. So I think that's why I just didn't do it.
Right. And I think, part of the intention here is to help people be in that inquiry and permission that shift a lot more quickly. And because when we're on autopilot, like you don't necessarily realize that it could feel so much better. Like you're just in it. And even though it's like not that great, it's like there's not even spaciousness for your intuition to come in and receive that clarity because intuition does require spaciousness. And like one of the things I love with intuition too is having a circle of people who are also leading through intuition to be like, because like, sometimes when you're so close to it, like you can't quite tell. And you and I have had so many fun conversations around this and a lot of my other friends too. So I envision us as being other people's intuition besties who can be like, give kind of more tools to create more of that automatic knowing of how to shift in order to not be in that hardship.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad we're doing a podcast on this because I'm thinking like, oh, we're gonna need a whole episode to talk about that. We're gonna need a whole episode to talk about that.
Would you say you foresee intuition affecting people in the coming years?
Got a lot of weird theories on how we're getting to this evolution of mind, but it's happening. Our society and the choices we're making as a society are changing, and it's asking us to use our brains in different ways. I think we need to update how we're engaging with each other and how we're engaging in the things that we've built. So, since I'm so passionate about projects and innovation and good businesses doing really cool things and inventing really cool things, I probably talk a lot in the language of innovation and entrepreneurship and discovery and invention. All of those things require intuition. Every single piece of innovation and invention and creating new things and creating new artworks and creating new philosophies, creating new ways to educate ourselves, to nourish ourselves with food. Like everything to me feels like we're getting this refresh.
It's like the intuition renaissance.
That's exactly what I feel like. I can't
Sounds
wait
like it.
to meet the next Leonardo da Vinci. We've got so many people coming online with how their brains are designed to work, and that's logically, emotionally, and intuitively. Combining all of those things creates pure genius.
Mhm.
Bunch of little Sherlock Holmes was running around, I think. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. And one of the things that you and I are both really passionate about is bringing that intuition into leadership, intuitive-led businesses and entrepreneurship, because we really feel like that is where society is shifting out of how things have been done and into this new way of being. And this is what we teach on retreats and workshops. And from your perspective, what would you say is the forecast of intuitive-led leadership?
well, I see two things happening. One is team renewal. That's what I call all these intuitive, emotionally intelligent, super badass leaders, is that they're in charge of imagining the world in a new way, where we're not focused on uh we're not focused on the stuff that's just um problematic. We're focused on what could be. Then I see in team renewal with all of these intuitive people, it's like create what you want. Create what you want to see is good for you. Create what you want to see is good for your family. Create what you want to see is good for your companies and for your communities. And the key word here is create what's good, not what's bad. How many times do we accidentally create what's bad in our minds? Like, I'm famous for this. Worst case planning, worst case imagining. I was so anxious all the time. It's like, okay, if I get laid off tomorrow, then what am I going to do here, 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 and here? And I was constantly planning my future in worst case scenarios. That's a really poor use of the imagination. And it's not the best way to utilize the mind. While all of those outcomes might not happen, you're braced for impact all the time. If we can use our minds well and use them how they're intended to be used, we can create what's good and what's best and what's visionary and what's awesome. Everybody prospers from that. And that's my dream. If we just sprinkle a little pixie dust on everything and see like, okay, this situation, yeah, it's kind of hard and maybe it's not functioning how it could be. Uh, maybe some things are not going very well, but what's the best case outcome that I can imagine from this?
Mhm.
One tool that you and I know and love very well is the statement, everything's turning out better than I expect. And the brain goes, oh, yeah, how? Well, when the brain asks that question, oh, yeah, how? It immediately starts imagining how it could be better than it expects. The way that that statement's even formatted requires the mind to answer that question in a more positive way. So it's it's really cool, like mental mind hack of your thoughts of like, this is turning out better than I expect. And if your left brain goes, yeah, show me how, your right brain chimes in and goes, well, we could knock this out of the park. We could get millions of followers overnight. We could have a blast doing a podcast that you and I have never done before. We could inspire a lot of people to normalize intuition in every corner of our society. And the brain just starts imagining this is how it could be awesome, and this is how it could be awesome. And I'm so here
Mhm.
for that.
Yeah. I actually posted a reel yesterday. Make sure to also fantasize about best case scenarios instead of, what we always do, which is the ruminating and all of that stuff. Um, how do you think, like, I'm just picturing all of these people leading from intuition first in society. Like, how do you envision that affecting people? Like, what type of place will that be like to be in versus where we're at now?
When a lot of people are intuitive, they're connected with a vision that's bigger than themselves
Mm,
and also connected with truth. So, intuitive people, you can trust being around them because intuition kind of makes you transparent. Like, you sort of have to be transparent. What are you thinking right now? And you're like, oh, I'll tell you. And so, can you imagine being around people who actually say what they mean and they actually say what they feel?
Mhm.
Do you know, like, as a person who's very empathetic and empathic, when you're around somebody who's not saying what they feel, it's weird because you can feel something underneath the surface of a conversation. It's like, what's going on with you? It doesn't really engender a lot of trust.
Yeah, and it's unfair to both parties because then the one who's feeling the offness is then trying to scan to like figure out what's wrong. And then the one that's not saying what's wrong is bottling up all this stuff that's increasing their anxiety.
Yeah. And people just go miles apart in their relationship,
Yeah.
which is so hard, because depending on what that relationship is, like it's mother to kid or husband to wife or a friend to friend, like one of you is going to know there's a distance. And so
Hmm.
back to your question of like, what do I see when everyone's a little bit more intuitive? Well, there's a lot more courage in communication. Saying, oh, well, my intuition, my gut says no. Sorry, I can't go with you on that. And
And like, oh,
honest.
sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Honest, yeah, like a
Yeah.
realness, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
and a closeness. Like intuitive relationships are the best.
hmm You don't say. Sorry, guys. It's going to be a love fest on this podcast. You're just going to get used to it.
Yeah. And intuitive partnerships too, like in business. We'll do another episode on that, but like,
Dude, Hannah's working on something. She's like, I just had a download about this. And I'm like, weird, because I'm working on that as well. And we tend to have the same inspirations on the same topic at the same time. And then we come together and collaborate. And what's so fun about partnerships that intuition brought together is you'll probably be partnered with somebody who's pretty different from you. And that in that difference, it's like without intuition, that difference would create competition or envy or something along those lines. It would create a tension. But with an intuition based partnership where you're different, you're like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. She knows how to do that so well because I hate doing that task.
Yeah. Yeah. Like just this morning, Jessica's like, "Can I craft a marketing email to your list?" And I was like, yes, please.
I talked to Anne and she's like, in terms of our visibility strategy in what was it? Um, we call it sales, but the way Hannah does sales is so like it's intuitive based, and so I have a hard time with the word sales. It's more like everything's this invitation to participate. It's not about selling. It's about like, hey, so we're doing this thing. It's pretty cool. You want to come? Just inviting people to hang out. That's intuition-based sales. Let's go.
And so, how would you say, Jessica, intuition has helped you in business? And I
Well,
know you're gonna laugh because it's like you wouldn't have a business without it.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. There was no way that I could have ever thought I was gonna be an entrepreneur because I just didn't have that risk profile. Like being an entrepreneur means like you're carving your own path, which I really wanted, but it was scary. So intuition literally built my business and fast too. It was wild. I remember the day that my spirit, that's what I call my intuition is spirit. I remember the day that my spirit was like, "Hey, so you're going to start your own company." I'm like, no way. That sounds terrifying. But the events of my life had just gotten so unsustainable in the way they were going. I sort of was backed into a corner and I had no choice. Like I wasn't going to get another corporate job. I wasn't going to get another government job. Nope, that wasn't an option. Well, what is the option? Well, you're going to start making your own money now. Crap. But intuition's like, but this is what this whole arrangement's here for. It's like, I'm gonna show you every single step along the way. And that's how my intuition talks to me is like, it's a mentor, it's a partner, it's a comfort, it's just the coolest part of my brain constantly telling me, like, don't worry, I've got you. Don't worry, things are gonna be okay. Don't worry, every next step, I'm gonna show you how to do X, Y, and Z. And it did. And overnight, my business was very successful. And every year, it just keeps growing upon that success. The more I relax into it, it's the weirdest paradoxical thing. So I don't know. Intuition is pretty cool. How did intuition build your business?
It started with one download that said retreats, Italy, cooking. And I was like, that sounds really, really fun. Like, yes, please. And I similar to you was like, I don't want that pressure on myself. Like, I don't want to start my own thing. But it was just like the visceral feeling of this vision was like coming through me. And it was so, for me, exciting that I was like, I can't not. So I Googled, how do I host a profitable retreat? And because I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, right? And I found my first coach, and that coach serendipitously was also really believed in building businesses through intuition. So I was really grateful for that connection. And I was grateful to have that foundation in how I started my business because if you're not careful, you will fall into the kind of the way things have been done, traditional ways of doing business, which for me have never worked. And sometimes I wish they would because I'm like, just tell me what to do, I'll do it to get the result. And but my business was like, nope, you're going to do it an easier way. You're going to do a lighter way. And my process of accepting that and trusting that has been a journey. But once I've been able to rest into that, similar to you, it really grew quite quickly. And the more fun I would have, the more money I would make. Surprise, surprise. And um, and each decision now in my business, like I can tell if I decide to do something and then it's like the contraction of my body and like it starts to feel like then like I'll know what to switch it to in order to create that spaciousness and basically follow my intuition for those steps.
That's awesome. And I love that yours shows up with such excitement. I think I made it pretty clear that that's not how it started for me at first, too,
Mhm.
which is sort of interesting. Where I was talking about before that Hannah's intuition seems to come very much through her right brain. I would characterize mine comes through my left. And it's paradoxical to say that because the left brain is going to be focused on process and task, and it literally cannot see the big picture. It's not
Mm.
capable of doing that. But that's all the right brain does, is it's totally big picture all the time. And so where I would say that I've generally favored my left brain throughout my life, I love to study details. I love structure. I love plans and steps and things that feel incremental. But then intuition, definitely from my right brain, sort of matured that side of me in how I work, that it wasn't only about process. It was, what is this process leading to? What kind of
Mhm.
experience does this process bring? So I think where I needed to be rounded out in terms of how my brain worked was really leaning into developing that right brain a lot more.
Mm.
Because once I started doing that entrepreneurially, that's very right brained because entrepreneurial stuff is very creative. You wake up and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do today. There is no plan. Like, I needed a lot of help imagining what best case outcomes could be, what the
Mhm.
task for the day would be, and all of that was creative. And so, if anybody resonates with this and they're like, you love your processes and you love that side of your brain and you want to balance it a little bit more, do something creative. Do something like literally get a coloring book. And I know that sounds so like I don't have time for a coloring book. Fine. If you need to optimize all of your activities, which is a very left brain thing to do, that coloring book is going to get you into your hands and out of your thinky. And the second that you're out of your thinky and you're sort of distracting your thinky mind with a doey thing with your hands, you start to develop a language for the experience that you're having. All of
Mhm.
that pressure of like, I have to perform right now. I have to color inside the lines, which is what I did as a kid for sure. All of a sudden turns into, oh, well, what would happen if I had this color? And what would happen if I do this to the drawing? And what would happen if I do that? What kind of an experience am I having? And the right brain goes, you're having a great time.
Yeah, and it's like no surprise that cooking was involved heavily in the beginning stages of my business because it's like getting into the right brain, getting into the hands, out of the left mind. And
Mhm.
Jessica and I like to joke that she's the left brain to my right brain. And even with our partnership, I saw the big vision quite early on and
I
kind
didn't.
of and had to let it marinate for like what was that? What was our process like, Jessica, of us becoming? Because I feel like people are probably listening to this being like, I want an intuitive partner like that.
Oh yeah. Well, full transparency, Hannah, we met at a networking group. And then I sort of told her what I was doing, like, hey, I've got this company called Intuition Mindset, and I help people learn how to become intuitive no matter what, like no matter what they're doing for any application. She's like, I want that. And so we worked together for about a year. I think it was about a year, right? And
Mhm.
just she engaged in my process of unlocking more of the intuitive mind. And then that closed. And we both had this like, because we both liked hanging out with each other. And I was like, dang, man, I really enjoyed working with her. And so we developed this really close friendship. We started talking every day. And then I started investigating, like, well, Hannah, you're doing intuitive stuff, but you're taking people on experiences around the world. That's so cool. And I've always had a travel bug, but never really had the ability to plan something like that. So Hannah was like, well, let's do a retreat. I'm like, maybe I gotta let that marinate. And I did. And then we came to it, and that's how we just started merging ideas. Her zone of genius became super obvious as something that would help round out my offering. And I hope that you feel the same way, in terms of describing the mechanics of intuition, sort of rounding out why that's important to your end of things. But
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And by the way, you actually reached out to me about the retreat.
did I?
Yeah, yeah, I still remember because it was when you texted me, I was like, oh, like,
Nice.
because you said, hey, what do you think about this offering? Da, 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 da. Like it just landed for you. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay, we're doing this. And yes, I like as I said, like I feel like I get to intuition quickly sometimes, but not with all of the words for it necessarily. And Jessica then comes in with the mechanics and the
Always has the words.
neuroscience. Yeah, and it's so cool because like I'll have this knowing and then she has the words and it's been a really fun merging of that
Yeah.
with intuition mindset and really allowing people to feel that in the experiential piece too. Like we're not just, telling you this is how to be intuitive. It's like you're learning in real time and bringing your body and your mind through the experience so that it can become embedded in a really deep, whole way.
Mhm. Oh yeah. And it's not formulaic to every relationship too. There are some relationships that I've got where I always get big vision on behalf of this person. That's that way it was for everybody I've ever worked with. Like I work with a client, future friend, sorry. And the vision for like the foresight for how their intuition's going to come in, how it's going to integrate into their life, what it's going to help them create, like that just is so obvious to me. It's almost like this roadmap is written on the back of my forehead and I just talk about it. It's like, oh, I look at you, this is what I see. So it's just easy in that context. But there are things that I couldn't see in relationship to mine and Hannah's partnership. And so I think a long time ago that would have weirded me out, like, oh, how did I not see that? And I would have gotten all in my head about it. Well, the universe reserves the right to surprise you. And some of the best things your intuition will not see.
Mhm.
Because I think that's where the universe or big spirit, however you want to say it, wants you to know like it's not all on your shoulders. You're tapped into something that is so good and that is so powerful and is so expansive, and it's expansive for everybody, that the universe says, no, I'm not going to show you the full picture yet. You get to have the experience. What fun would it be if you got all the answers at the beginning?
Yeah, no. And like getting answers is tough sometimes because then it's like, well, I don't want to mess this up. Like, do I go left or right? Like, I want to make sure this happens. Then you get too like controlly about it.
Picky.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So, Jessica, what advice would you give to leaders and seekers listening to this podcast who want to bring their intuition, specifically their intuitive led leadership to the next level?
Yeah. It's worth the investment of your time. It's worth the investment of um, your resources. It's worth your total attention to develop your intuition. It's worth it because not only are you going to get that connected with the spirit of truth within you, you will always know what's true. I mean, just sit with that for a second. Like, how cool would that be that in any situation you always know what's true? Because you feel into it, you get to the heart of it, which is another thing intuition does. It gets to the heart of things. Like, this is what's at the core of that subject. It can also do that with people. This is what's at the core of this person. And my goodness, look at the core of them. They're so gorgeous inside. So when you think about that, you're getting to the spirit of truth, you're getting to the core of things, you're feeling inspired along the way, There's never a problem you can't solve. You're balanced in your mind, you're balanced in your emotions, and you get a vision of the future that you're going to experience and get to create. Tell me where any of that sounds like a downfall or not worth it.
Yeah.
It's totally
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. And so like what would the next step be for someone?
I'd say, well, the first thing that comes to mind, and this is it's not the
Follow your own
easiest.
intuition. Check
I
in with
know it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it is necessary, is get still.
Mm,
Just
yeah.
park your butt in a chair and try to still your mind for a second and just focus on something that is really deep within you. And the mind does not like to do this. The mind will get
Yeah.
squirrely. It will start to
Mhm.
think of a million other things that you could be doing right now, but to get still just for a few moments and be like, what am I feeling right now? That's the best way to practice it because you're getting to the truth of what you feel in that moment. This is part of that emotional development piece too, the EQ part of intuition, which I gotta say, if you want to be more intuitive, you have to lean into your emotional intelligence. That
Mhm.
EQ is the doorway to intuition. You cannot get to intuition without it.
Mhm.
That's a whole other podcast as to why, so I won't get into it. But when you lean in, get still, and you're like, what am I feeling right now? You can just do the traditional EQ thing and pick an emotion. Am I feeling happy, sad, fearful, surprised, disgusted, angry, or confused? And the spirit of truth within you will pick one of those things and it'll be like, hey, so you're kind of sad right now. It's like, oh, interesting. And you just choose to feel that sadness. On the other side of that emotion is an intuitive insight. It's going to be subtle, but it'll be there. And you sit with these emotions long enough, eventually you are absolutely going to get to like, hey, I'm feeling pretty content right now. Weird. I didn't even know that I was feeling content because the mind was thinky and overspinny and blah, blah, blah. But your intuition's like, no, you're actually feeling really excited about things.
Mhm.
Do you think that would change your day just a little bit? And that's just the simplest, intuitive, boop, insight. And it was all connected on what's the truth at the deepest heart of you right now.
Mhm. I love that. And I want to end with one last question that's really simple. You've mentioned this a few times, and I just want to give words to it. What would you say is the spirit of truth?
That's such an awesome question.
Simple, right?
So
Let's
simple.
solve the mystery right now.
Mysteries of the universe. No big, no
Yeah.
big deal. What is the spirit of truth? I mean, truth is truth. It's the thing that it's it's the isness of things. This is what this is. That's the truth. What do you think about that question? It's a philosophically deep question, and so
It
like
sure is.
the super duper nerd of me was like, man, this is
So here's my
yeah.
perspective. I feel like I've developed a muscle for discerning, and we'll often put a capital T on truth, discerning what's true. And for me, I can feel it, and I don't know if I have words for it. So I'm just thinking of like someone listening who doesn't know either of that, like what words would you put to what that spirit of capital T truth is? Like, is this something that's like a link, a thread between all of us that's just like this kind of rule book of truth that's unspoken, like in the human experience, or like or maybe the, above human experience?
Totally. Yeah. To, you know, I love this question. It's so philosophically deep, which I think is why I'm struggling with it a little bit. Um, and philosophers have been trying to figure this question out for as long as thinking has been part of the human experience. But sometimes it's easier to know what truth is by what it isn't. And when you can feel what truth isn't, it's just a, nope, that's not it. Every single one of us has a connection to truth. To say that we don't would create an existential crisis. And maybe that's why we're having such big existential crises out there, is that we feel disconnected from what the truth is. And
I
man,
think people do.
that's hard. That's very, very disorienting. And I think that's what people are like, well, the world's gonna end and it's all terrible, and because there is no truth in the world. No, there is. Absolutely. And your intuition knows how to find it.
Yeah, and I see truth as like, so I think to answer my own question,
Please.
for people listening, like the type of thing would be like the not truth, kind of what you were saying. And truth, I feel like there's no conflict in it because
Mm.
like you're not trying to fight against anything, it just is. And so even just trying to discern what belief, what statement like that feels, void of conflict and resistance.
Mm.
And because just naming what's true, even as crazy as it is, like, hey, I want to spend less time with you because when I'm around you, my mind starts to race or whatever. And like,
Totally.
yeah, that might be scary, but like that's true,
Sure.
depending on, what that is. And so, yeah, that's just a thought that came to my mind,
And
void of conflict.
totally, the truth is transparent. And I'll end with this, that it's a foundational belief in how I've built my business and how I've built my life, is the closer you get to truth, the more simple things become,
Hmm.
not more complicated.
Mm-mm.
Like truth needs no defense. It
Hmm.
just is. And so it's simple, it's true, it's the foundation of things. And like I will spend the rest of my life seeking the truth of things.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so grateful that the intuition is this internal, like, mm-hmm, proceed and mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I'm asking the question because intuition and truth are like, would we say,
Synonymous.
synonymous? Yeah,
They
exactly.
have to be.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So we're going to be diving into all of these concepts, solving so many more life mysteries. And if you guys want more interactive experiences with us, check us out at intuitionmindset.com. We have some upcoming workshops. We have an EQ program coming out for intuitive leaders. We
So
also have
excited about
retreats.
that.
So excited. So all that's on intuitionmindset.com. And we're so excited to see what intuition makes you do.
Can't wait. Thanks so much. Thanks, Hannah. Love you.
Love you.